This is a video on how to install and set up your NVR, the DAHUA brand. The first thing you need to do is install your hard drive. Now the mistake I made is this hard drive cannot fit here because I've put it in the way of the screw here. So that is why I'm making this video, so that you do not have to have these teething pains. Now you've got to have this thing this way, and you'll hook it in like so. I'll just do 2 screws, that for me is sufficient. There's the drive, and we just need to put the lid on, and it fits nicely like that. Now I'll put the screws in. Right, now I've got the screws. Now we just need to connect it up. Okay, we've got a mouse. Got the power cable, and then the network cable and the monitor. I'm going to do that now. It's important to note that the network cable is going in there and the cameras go in the PoE section over here. So this is the network cable to your local network. Right, monitor. Let's have a look here. Okay, so the initial setup, it's asking me if I want to do the setup wizard. That's fine, I'll do it. The password, it's 6/8, so it's 1 2 3 4 5 6, so it's 8 6 times. That's a default setup. There we go. Now I'm into the menu. What happens when the hard drive is full? Override, PAL, pack duration, real-time play, and so on. Mask sensitivity, date and time, I think that's quite important. It's in fact already set. Date format, yes, everything here is actually fine, and it will automatically update at time.windows.com, so no problem there. The next setting is very important, and that is the network settings. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the IP address. Now on my network, this will be 10 the 10.0.0, and now I'm going to give it an IP address. I'm going to call it 250. Right, subnet mask. Now my gateway on my network, it will be 10.0.0.2. The DNS, I can do that later. I'm going to change these settings once I can log in through a web browser and use a keypad. Right, next. There we go. So I can now plug in a camera. Let me plug in a camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just plugging in on a fly lead, just a local camera right now. This is a DAHUA 3 megapixel. I'm just going to plug it in and see if I can set it up. Right. I'll now say device search. Alright, it picked up other cameras that I have on the network. These are my Hikvision cameras, so I'm not going to use those. I'm just waiting for the DAHUA one to come online. Right, I found the first camera identifying itself. I can see this is the new camera I put on because this is the default port for the DAHUA brand, and I can see the model number 4421. So there we go. So I'm going to add this. Right, there it is. It's added, and I can see the actual camera footage there, and I can see. Right. Okay, so this video now carries on through the browser of my local computer, which is connected to the network. So the first thing I'll do is I will load up Firefox, and I will find the default IP address of the NVR. And in this case, you remember I did call it 10.0.0.250. So that is the welcome screen of the NVR, and the default username is admin and the default password is admin. Now when you click the login, it will immediately ask you to install a plugin. One of the things that did happen is when I did do that, it immediately gave me a spyware warning. Windows picked it up as spyware. I had to literally switch off the protection, real-time protection, in order to install that plugin, which is never a nice thing. So just letting you know that that may happen. So now you log in, and depending in if you have labeled your cameras or not, given them a name, then this is what you will see. Now I have been poking around here, so I have gone ahead of the video a little bit. I've given the cameras names. So this is your home screen. You've got the preview tab, the playback tab, alarm, setting, info, logout. This is the PTZ control. And then what was quite confusing is there is a scroll feature here on the side. Now this, I guess it depends on the resolution of your screen. So in my case, my resolution is 1080p, but I'm on the more on the blind side, so I do the larger fonts, and I think that's why it's not fitting on one screen, because these are very important points over here. Okay, so you can click the preview, and then these are the current cameras, so you can either toggle them one by one, or you can say open all. So there we go. You're seeing me, you're seeing a room, a classroom, and you're seeing some camera that has not been set up properly. It gives you the timestamp, the date. I've given it a name. I've called this baby play area. I've got a classroom here. I'm calling it the yellow class. Yes, that's my yellow table. And you can make changes to the image that you're seeing. This, it won't record it like that, but these are just for your screen. And then you can actually reset them when you're done. Okay, that's reset. You can toggle these one by one, and if your resolution, maybe your network is too slow, you can change this to substreams, which will lower the resolution. Alright, so that's the preview page. Now let's go to the settings, and I think that's the most important, is the settings. So this is much easier to use when you log in through the web browser, because obviously you've got your keyboard and your mouse. So you would do the device search, and all the cameras that you have now wired up and spent time running your Ethernet cables. You'll need Cat5e Ethernet cables and RJ45s and boots. And these are the cameras. I have only 3 on my network. And you're probably wondering what these are. I think I did already mention these are the Hikvision cameras, which are on a Hikvision NVR. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. You can see these IP addresses were given
automatically. I did try and change the IP addresses, and in fact the NVR locked up, and the NVR locked up, and I had to reboot it, and I actually had to pull the plug out when I was changing the IP addresses. So this was a problem, changing the IP addresses. But once I changed the IP address of the NVR itself to the 10.0.0.250, that's of the NVR server, the NVR itself, then it automatically allocated IP addresses within the same range. So it's not really a problem if it does it by itself. It's just that I wanted to continue with my numbering sequence. So maybe I'll have a look at that and see how to force that. Then once you've chosen the cameras you want, you add them. You say add, then they appear here, and these are the actual cameras which are now on your playing on your NVR. These are the ones that are on the network. So this is just the ones that are on the network, and these are the ones which you have joined to your NVR. Now, an important thing is it'll put it in any order, the order that it found it on the network. So you might have to change it. Now, if you say modify, you'll find that you can't actually adjust the channel number. The only way you can play around with the channel number is by literally deleting it and adding the cameras in the order that you want them to be. So if I want IP address 10.1.1.65 to be channel 1, I must delete all of these and then add this one first. Okay. Then some other things you might want to play around with are the image conditions, 3D noise. I don't actually know what that is. You can flip, you can, let's go to camera 3. Okay, so you can flip it. Should flip it. There we go, flipped. And then you can go no flip and save it. You can adjust the saturation, brightness, contrast, sharpness, day, night, scene mode. You can customize it. You can do the red gain, blue gain, day, night, and so on. Then you've got, let's just see the 3D noise. Let's put it off. I don't know, sometimes these extra features make it worse and sometimes they actually make it better. So I guess that would be trial and error. Okay, then you got the encoding method. You can set each channel. Now, channel 1 is a 3 megapixel camera, so you can set the frame rates that you want. So I've just put it at its highest resolution, and the frame rate is the highest. The bit rate, constant bit rate versus variable bit rate, and there is the bit rate. Watermark enable, and then you've got the substream. That's when you're viewing, maybe you don't want to lock up your network if you don't have a good enough switch. This will be a lower resolution. So you can set the mainstream, which is the high resolution option, and the substream, which is the lower resolution option. Maybe also on your phone or whatever it is that you're going to view the substream, maybe a tablet. And then you can do this for each one of your channels. Now you can see it says 1, 2, 3, 5. If there were 8 channels here, this would just grow. Then you've got the snapshot functions, quality. I just put everything to highest. And then the overlay, that's where I'm assuming the text would be channel display. There it is. And then time display. There it is. So let's see if we can time. Okay, so that's telling you where you can put your time. Okay, that's done. Now let's do the channel, and I want the channel to be written. So I'm moving channel. I'm going to put it there right next to me. There it is, and then I'm going to save. Because sometimes these labels are in an area where actually they're in the important area. So let's say go to channel 3. Okay, so now this is an important part of the picture, and so is this. So I'm going to set the channel name right in the corner there, and then I'm going to set the time also right in the corner there. And the channel, right, save. Cool. So there we go. Then you've got the camera name, very important. So this is where you're going to name your cameras. I've already named them. Channel 1 is office, channel 2, baby play area, channel 3, and so on. IPC upgrade, this if you want to do a firmware upgrade. Then the network settings, here's all the goodies, which I'll do another video showing you how to set the DDNS and how to connect remotely to this NVR. I first got to work it out myself. So you can have a look at this is where you're going to set your IP address. Now remember, if you change this now, you won't be able to log in through the web browser. You can see that is the IP address through the web browser. So if I change it to 251 and I log in here on the address bar saying 250, it won't work. I'll have to use 251. So be careful of making changes to this, otherwise you might have to physically go to the NVR, take a monitor and a mouse, and then put it back into the range of your laptop or your computer, or you'll have to change your network settings down here to match this, otherwise they won't be on the same range. You can also now set your preferred DNS. Where do you get your DNS settings? That's easy. You're going to go to your router, you're going to log into your router, and you're going to find your DNS settings. You'll say status, depending on the router, and in my case the preferred DNS is 169.112. So I could change this right now, 169.112, and then I can save that. And I've made it static. I don't want to have this IP address jumping around. If it's DHCP, it means the router is going to assign me a IP address, and I don't want that. Whoops. Yeah, so I meant to click peer-to-peer. Did I save these? Yes. Okay, peer-to-peer settings. Yeah, it's got a QR code. That's also quite nice. Then the connection. These are the ports that are used on the NVR. So this becomes very important for your remote login from outside places. Then your Wi-Fi and your 3G. I don't think this has a 3G option. I don't want to speak too soon, but anyway, DDNS, right? So the DAHUA seems to have its own DDNS, so you're going to be using these details when you log in using the DAHUA DDNS. I will do more on that. I'll do a video on the DDNS. And then you got the email, if you wanted to email you problems and so on. UPnP, normally we switch this off. It often, when I have the UPnP on, it often puts too many ports open in my router, so I just keep them off. Multicast, I also keep that off. Other than that, you can look at your storage, the schedule, very important. Here's the channels. You select all the channels, and then you want to say the settings. You want to make sure that it's recording on all of your channels all the time for motion. You don't want it to be recording all the time, but you want it to be motion all the time. And then the hard drive manager, you can see I've put a 4 terabyte hard drive, and the maximum that it says it can take is 4 terabytes. So I just put 4 terabyte. I'd prefer to put more. Record control, which channels do you want to record? And then there seems to be hard drive groupings. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is. I'll have to have a look at that. And auto maintenance. This was quite interesting. It says auto reboot. Now I changed this from 3 o'clock in the morning, because you know when these things reboot, they make like a beeping sound, like beep, and it's in my house, and I don't want to at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning be like, what is that sound? So I changed this to 6 o'clock on a Monday, and it will reboot every Monday. I don't know why it's got this setting. Maybe just because the software is unstable. It's not a bad idea. So this thing will reboot itself every Monday. And then upgrade, you can go to the website and download an upgrade file, firmware file, but I did not find one for this model. I've already looked, I didn't find anything. So going back to the, now let's look at the playback. Here is the year and the month. It's February. It's not the greatest setup for playback. I'm a little bit confused here. I don't want to slate it right now, but so far I'm finding it quite tricky. I'm thinking that it's on recording all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly change it to motion. Let's change this to motion setting. Storage, schedule, and let's say setting all, and I'm just going to say motion. So now it should all be on motion. And let's do the same with this. All motion. Otherwise, you're going to use up your hard drive very quickly. All motion. I'm sure there's a copy function. Yeah. Copy all. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now from here forward, it should only show me when there's motion. See, these cameras, I've just gone online now, and I see that they're recording all the time. So when the motion setting is on, you'll see that it'll be green only where it's recorded. It'll probably be yellow, actually, because that's the motion key here. And then the alarm one, I don't use that. All right, so now let's go and view something that was recorded. Okay, you can see I'm still setting up these cameras. It also plays them all at once, and I'm sure you can change that. I know you can exit. Anyway, so you can have a look at this. The fact is, it does record it. It is pretty fast. It seems like it's faster than the Hikvision to navigate the playback section. I'm going to have to play around with this and work out what is actually going on here. Overall, I was just disappointed that the unit crashed when I was playing around with the IP address. That wasn't motivating to see that on an item which should never crash. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope you get your NVR set up. Oh, another problem I'm having with the unit is underneath the actual unit itself, the NVR, it's very hot, and I'll keep watching that every few hours. I'm concerned that it's so hot, and it hasn't got anything to do with the PoE because it wasn't even plugged, the cameras weren't even plugged in at that point. So I'm just a bit concerned about how hot the actual unit's getting. Maybe it is because I am logging in through the web